So I think what we're doing.
Yeah, make sure you know where to stand, where your mark is, and everything like that, just in case. Okay, now we can put that back up. Yeah.
And then I have to turn in that area. But I'm gonna hit it. So. And then if something is like, you would take away that.
Yeah. What's that? I would let him start. I think so. I would maybe check with him and see if he wants to start or if he should just go.
Or tax day, whichever was later. I know some of that area. I was building, and when I drove through the area, there was a lot of stuff out. None of my fault, but yeah. So it slopes towards Patton on my side, and and so what I noticed is that the house at the corner of Patton Building is still flood first.
Just go for it.
Then my neighbors were right on the flood. Then I was flooded, and then we're slowly.
Have you
We were scared.
Currently, we don't really have anybody who does.
unless it's, I need to ask my
So on the floor plans, there's one thing, on the elevation, there's another. So we did them based on the floor plan, but they're not in sync. So we're having to move the front room that was upstairs over to the inside of the house, so that they line up down below. They won't be centered in the room, but they'll be centered. The elevation is way more important. I know that they're not centered, they look screwed up when you can't up there. This window's so bad.
So they.
What's that? Can I probably can't do anything right now. Yeah.
and why? Like you could do it.
It's a great question.
I bet you I could put the address in here. Can I put it in here? Yes.
What are you trying to do?
We just find out.
So you see how it's underlined?
Yeah.
Just hold it down,
Oh,
and then you can open in Maps to see it. But currently, we really don't have anybody who wants to do it.
I could probably get a super. But I mean, if it's 16, I mean, I've got Cassie Court coming up for 1,600. She's a good friend, and she's bought McClendon through me and plenty of stuff.
I didn't miss anybody.
I was expecting.
I was so busy.
I know. Well, I just miss you.
And yesterday wasn't even really a break. I mean, I worked a little bit and kept myself safe and everything.
I love the way you do this.
That's how serious I am.
Your hair looks good. I like it like that.
Thank you.
Oh, she's going to start on it.
How are we doing today? We're going to go have a gala in just a few minutes, so I'm not going to be here much longer, but I'm off to represent you at River Country Club for an event. So I don't know. Let's see. It's Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a very thankful time. I had a very thankful time. There is a lot of movement in the real estate world. I mean, there's a lot of movement, and we've got about another week, I think. You know, hurricane delayed it, the weather's still 90 degrees outside. But I mean, we got 5 houses under contract in the last week, that have had for sale for 2.5 to 3 years, remember, so 12th Street, 6.5 Street, and some of these things that I've had since oil was $110 a barrel, we're finally getting rid of. So, you know, if you're gonna make a push, go make a little push right over here, especially, you know, I think you got about 1 more week to try and get under contract and close by the end of the year. Do communicate, especially if you're new. I mean, my life is living hell the last week of the year. You know, so when you're going to make these closings, December 29th, they're going to get bumped. There's going to be a freeze in Amarillo where the papers are being prepared by the lawyer, or in Chicago, you know, where the underwriter is, through no fault of our own. You know, so it's a good time to use our little form for that sort of deal. You know, the force majeure form, you know, just to set a little expectation. Because these people who start losing their homestead exemption, except for the 27th, it gets bumped to 2nd. They want someone to pay them the 20% that they lost in homestead exemption. You know, they want the seller to pay, the realtor to pay, or something. So it starts to be a lot of hell. So if people are overly sensitive about it, it's the time to communicate well with your lender, with your title company. What are the hours of the title company going to be? How are we going to do about funding? It gets to be very stressful. I never really get to enjoy that week of my life because somebody leaves me hanging over here because there's some unrealistic expectation. So whatever side you're representing, make sure you're communicating with the other side over there, or it's going, people will be screaming on the 30th and the 31st. It happens all the time over here. So I definitely want to communicate about that. What else is going on?
Advisory group application deadlines are Friday.
Yeah, so if you are interested in a committee for HAR, they're on the little website there, but you must submit your application by December 1st, and then you get together a little team meeting over there, and they decide, you know, who's going to be on it. If there's something you're overly passionate about, I mean, I'm overly passionate about MLS, I'm overly passionate about governmental affairs, then I go over there and I state my case to whoever the incoming chairman is. So if you're interested in something, they look for diversity. So they're going to look for, you know, Perry Holmes having a representative, and Keller Williams having a representative, and a little independent guy having a representative, and an appraiser having a representative, and a title company having a representative. So if you're overly interested, to let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I don't know Kenya that well. We're not best friends or anything, but I mean, I know her well enough to, you know, make the case that Boulevard Realty needs to have a fair amount of representation on these committees. I'm not interested in the Big E, and I'm not interested in some of those other things. So if you are, let me know. What else do we have, Mr. Aaron?
We have our date for the party now.
Christmas party, December 8th. I mean, we're just going to do it at my house. We're going to do it at my house.
Yeah.
I think that'll just be fun for everybody.
December
Maybe last year
8th.
we had it there, but we're going to have it there one more year.
What time? At night?
6:30.
Mhm.
I like to get started around 6:30. I'm an early drinker.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, and people have 2 and 3 parties. If they want me to go to something else at 7 and come at 8:30, it's perfectly fine. We'll have
Mhm.
dinner. We'll have fun. A little photo booth this year, right?
Oh,
Yep, that's
cute.
right.
So Vernon Fox said that they donated a photo.
Yeah.
Who did?
Vernon Fox.
How cute.
Yeah.
And Amanda Smith is co-hosting a pop-up shop tonight here in this
It's
office.
tomorrow.
It's
Oh, wait.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 28th. Tomorrow. Yes.
So anyone that has a desk, if you don't mind making it a little tidy, and if there's anything confidential, I can get away, which is.
Don't leave your tax return out.
Yeah, there will be some non-Boulevardians here, but anyone is welcome to attend. There'll be champagne and light items.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Office coming
sorts
along
of things
fine.
at this pop-up?
Jewelry,
women's
art,
footwear,
scarves,
yeah.
You know,
Any
things you can do with a glue gun.
We'll show you.
We have today, tutu and tulips or something.
What?
Muse collecting and tutu and lily.
Okay.
Cute. There's some cute stuff.
Yeah.
If you're interested in the Heights Association and bonding with people in the Heights Association, the Mistletoe and Martini event is on Thursday, $100 a person. It'll commemorative ornament that was kind of in tribute to the Cohen Plaza that we dedicated last week. It's a fun party. It's at Bradley Smith's house, you know, which is one of the nicer houses in the neighborhood. It's nice to invite a friend or a client or something if you're interested in that. Our deadline really is tomorrow. can't show up on Thursday and do that. If you're interested, let me know about that. Either one can help you with that.
And then, Rhonda asked me to share that her father's celebration of life ceremony is this Saturday at the Baptist Church in Montgomery. I have the details if you are interested. And Rhonda asked me to RSVP with her to get email if you plan on attending.
What else we got?
I think that's about it.
Friday's World Day ribbon for that.
Mhm.
I'm going to
Riverside.
Where do we get a red ribbon?
Riverside Home Tour? Oh, that's fine.
I mean,
I like that. My house is for the Woodland Heights Home Tour,
Not
which
back
we
yet.
agreed to do sometime in the spring, but my house is gonna be on the Woodland Heights Home Tour, so.
Oh,
that's
yes.
an opportunity for us to hold those and bond and Boulevard Realty.
Oh, fun.
Yes,
I
yes,
like
yes.
So,
Where do we
Yeah.
sign up for that?
through Aaron,
Uh-huh,
I think it's
No,
March
nothing.
18th or something.
I think
Last time when we did it, which that house it's a different era, but I mean, I had hundreds of people lined up the hour before the even opening or whatever. It was a little insane over there. It usually gets a fair amount.
March 18th weekend, that's spring break for HIC.
maybe it's the one before.
I don't know.
We'll tell you
Check
plenty
and see.
soon.
Louise Moss or something.
Yeah, when we were on the home tour several years ago, we had 1,700 people to the house in 3 days.
That's
We
about-
will. We'll need all the help we can get.
in
Okay.
one day at Bayland over there.
Of course, I'm always.
Okay, so our main topic today is Maria. So what we're gonna do is about once a month now, we're going to have Maria come and give us some design tips. Sometimes we'll be here over design, sometimes we might meet at a particular house and do some things. So I want you guys to better utilize Maria and her talent. She's very talented. She can walk through a house before it's listed and give you some ideas. She can walk through a house when you're in an option period, to get some ideas after someone buys something. She's available to help or whatever. So, I mean, she's here to help you in design. We're always looking at things that are going on across the city and across the nation or whatever. And so she's going to give a little presentation today. Yes?
I just wanted to say, I've brought her out to several appointments, and she always blows everybody away with how much she knows, and it's been super helpful for me, even just getting a deal where they know that she can come in and give them design ideas, and it's brought them over the edge, so I highly recommend.
So you take them on a listening.
I have taken her.
Yeah, I would take her on
I've
this
taken
one.
her afterwards, but she always, look at her, she's fabulous. She really knows her stuff. Boulevard pays for her.
Right.
No, I
just
imagine.
I need to know what I'm gonna get paid.
So I spoke in Charleston to an independent realtor, group. It was one independent realtor per city, so there are a couple hundred different cities represented there, about Boulevard Realty and what sets us apart. And we're the boutique firm with the local branding sort of thing. There's lots of people that do that sort of thing. I mean, 3 things really definitely set us apart. And I spoke to Stewart Titles people 2 or 3 weeks ago also, whatever, and that Roseanne Dodgers and her little group over there. And I think they're blown away that we do a couple of things. I mean, we have this whole design service on staff. Hey, it's totally free for our clients and for our agents. No one else has interior designer on staff or whatever that do that. Frank and the construction services, no one else has that on staff to help you with permitting, with pricing, with vendors, with ideas, with your inspection reports. No one else has that. No one else has these political people. They don't have a governmental affairs person, and they don't have a political affairs person or whatever to keep up with these sort of things. So we're going to keep highlighting some of our differences over there. And in conjunction with Maria today, Kathleen is going to also do these presentations about once a month. The first one we're going to do is the different tax rates throughout the city, so that you can understand why is Cinco Ranch $2.85 per $100 value, and the city of Houston's $2.52. There's already an increase there of 40 cents per $100 value. But we're going to do a little presentation on City of Westview, City of Bunker Hill, City of Bel Air, the difference between Kingwood and Cinco Ranch, and then if you're selling any sort of non-homesteaded property that might have some commercial implication, what the tax rates of this Montrose Management District and the Greater North Side Management District, some of those things might impact for something that's, a 4-unit apartment complex or something commercial. So we're gonna do a presentation here in another week or two over that also. So just giving you some highlights of what we're gonna do. And I'm working on my presentation, that we're gonna go give our little dog and pony show to all the real estate firms throughout the city, Heritage, John Dahlgren, Martha Turner, about real estate and the public realm and these signs in the Esplanade, the signs on the sidewalk, how the sidewalk works, how people putting up these no parking signs work. And I'm going to practice with you guys in a week or two to make sure that you understand what's going on there. And then we're going to go out and give that whole presentation around. So with that, I give you Maria.
All right.
What Phil was saying about how I can help all of you and before jumping on design trends. I just want to show some examples because it's not just about, recommending paint colors and tile and countertops. Like sometimes clients don't have the best ability to visualize stuff, so I can help you with mood boards too, and I'll just pass along the few for different listings. So
Yeah.
where you can see, like inspirational photos, the actual materials that you can use. And if you have any questions, let me know. And also, in addition to that, I'd really like for you to be familiar with our design blog because Boulevard Realty does have an interior design blog where all the tips that I can give you are there and even more. You have a bunch of inspiration. And so this is the. And then on our blog too, we feature a lot of the listings with detailed information about the main colors and the selections that went into the blog. Everything you have to do, social views to adorn, make your home more beautiful and help listings show better is there. And one of your listings has a bathroom that's a little bit outdated, and you want easy tips on how to freshen it up and make it look good to help the house sell better. You can on the website, if you go on Explore, you can search inspiration by room. So these are you can look by all interior, study, dining room, kitchen, bedroom. So you can go straight to the room that's maybe like a more thing in the house. Today's first design trends meeting is essentially going to be about paint and the color that buyers want, which I think that you're probably tired of hearing this, but we're really insisting because the fact white is the color.
Dover white.
White. So this is a quote from Bill, and this is from last year. So from Modern Luxury last year, listening why buyers want white. This is still very accurate. It hasn't changed. It's going to be here. White is the color. I know that, so a lot of times, especially in the more historic homes, sometimes people are scared of white because they think that the details won't show, that it's going to make it look too modern, but that's not necessarily true. You just give it like a brand new, fresh feel, and at the end of the day, if someone's buying your home, that's what they want. So it's really the best tip that we can give you is paint it white. So then, are some examples, and difference is pretty huge. So if you look at this, this is a huge transformation, which is just basically paint and new furniture. And I mean, like even the table is the same, we just painted it, but look at the difference it made.
Well, one thing that I know and this whole group, this is really hot. How do you feel when you look at that? And this to me is so calming, the white.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's how do you feel in that room?
Do you have resources to do things like paint furniture?
Yeah, we have all those resources, and I mean, like, if you look like the painters, like we're constantly recommending our painters, which the truth is, like, they're probably not the cheapest painters out there, but they're great.
And they're really busy, and so it's not like, can they get out there this week or something like that? It just requires a little extra level of planning.
So House painters are not furniture.
No.
So that's
You need
what I was
somebody.
asking
Yeah.
more about.
No, but our, actually this table, because the thing is like, so, for instance, Raphael, some of you might have
Yeah.
seen before or not, so like Raphael, he paints furniture too, and like,
Does
yeah, and he does, like even with like, like distressing furniture, like he does a beautiful job at
Oh,
it,
good.
but again, he's not the cheapest person you'll find for it, but he's great.
Okay.
So,
Well, usually they're not as detailed as furniture.
right,
Is my experience.
yeah, that's right, but in our case, so we have two painters that we.
So Raphael,
Yeah, Raphael does furniture too, if you ever need. We have all those contacts, and again, here's the living room. And I know that, so the issue that comes with white is that I know, like, especially if you have children, not everyone's gonna love white. Like, for obvious reasons, it's not gonna always look as clean and new, but in a bit, because like there are other colors that can combine, but it just about the light. So yeah, so for girls, oh, and also we can jump into that later now. So like for instance at Phil's house, we did use the same color for trims and walls because that's a question that I get asked a lot. And the thing is like for the trims and doors, you're gonna use enamel. So naturally there's already a certain difference. So if you're scared that there's not gonna be enough contrast, you don't have to worry about that because it's two different types of material going on. One is paint and one is enamel. So it already will have a natural contrast. And this was all the same white.
Is the ceiling, is the ceiling also?
In this case, yes, because we use a really light white. So usually we'll, like most of our projects, we always do ceiling white for the walls and then take another hue of white for the walls. Because for those houses we use pure white, which is like one of the lightest white. We went full monochromatic and same color on ceiling wall.
It looks so much bigger. It really
Are
does.
you using eggshell, flat, what are you using for the
Flat.
flat?
So that's another thing, like all the shiny glossiness is not really in right now. And unless you're like trying to do, if you go for a more modern home, then high gloss cabinets, but that's not very nice for what we do with ceilings.
So do you recommend semi for
Yeah.
trim and then
Flat.
for
Yes.
walls?
And of course, that depending if you want it more washable or not, we recommend different types, but we always.
So for people with children, what brand do you recommend?
Paint, so like we use Sherwin-Williams most of the time just because we're so familiar with their colors and we know exactly how they're gonna work and they always work. We do occasionally use Benjamin Moore colors, and then when it comes to like the finish, kind of like to tell the painters, you want it to be more washable or not. For us.
So that color ceiling white on those ones?
This is pure white.
Pure white.
Yeah, and I do have.
May I have? I thought Bill told me to go to one.
So, and I will jump into that when we get into the right white of the different textures you have.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you that when you go into a Sherwin-Williams store and you're looking for a white color, there, you have like 15 or 20 options. But when you get the architectural box, then you have to ask for that. Then the whites are 125 colors. So there's a real big variance in, what you're looking for.
So which
And then-
kind of brings us to the topic of the right white and,
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say on the enamel, the people at a tip, they spray that, they don't paint enamel. They'll paint your walls, but because they don't wanna have a brush stroke on your enamel trim versus you wouldn't see a brush stroke on the walls because they're rolling in there.
that's right. And so jumping into our favorite whites, here's a list, like if you want to write this down, or I will also, we can send copies of these if you want to have them described, like you cannot.
But
go
it's
wrong
on your
with any
blog
of
too.
these. Yes, with any of these whites. So for instance, to answer the question that you were just asking about Dover white. So the thing with Dover white is it's a more creamy white. If you're going to be painting a house that the floors are maybe more orangey than dark brown, then definitely go with over white, because if you use a white with a more cold, like blue undertone, it's gonna end up looking like gray and orange, and you don't want that. Like at the end of the day, you want like a few neutral feel to it. So that's why we recommend, most of the times, we recommend snowbound, pure white, and especially like alabaster and pure white are probably our two favorite whites. So as I pass around the swatch, pure white is the one that we use for Bill's house. I believe the office is pure white too. It's not pure white, it's snowbound. It's one of those two. So those are, and again, like these are whites, but they're not like stark white, because stark white will be a high reflective bright, or the ceiling white, Cyril Sherwin-Williams colors. We avoid that and we jump into these and we want to see that.
I see pink in that top one.
So.
Or is that just the,
No, this,
yeah,
this is,
yeah, got
how the swatch looks, but there's no pink at all. It's true, it does look a little bit.
It's our screen, yeah, because even on
it.
mine
And the
it
middle one
doesn't.
looks blue and the bottom one looks whatever.
Yeah, so here, like, you can kind of select the difference in all the undertones, but these are all, like, they're white for sure, like, and even this one that might look a little bit more warm, like, again, this one you can use in a situation. So for instance, imagine that you're going to paint kitchen cabinets, and you have a granite countertop that you don't want to change, but, you know, like, whether it's like a travertine or something more brown and green, like, you don't want to put a white that's too gray against it, because it's not going to work very well. In that case, you will use like one of these two, or the simply white, or the Dover white. About with kids who don't, or who just don't like white walls. There are other hues we can jump into, but essentially this is today's color palette, and if you're not looking at these colors or this family of colors, you're in it wrong. So this is kind of what you have to keep in mind. And I'm going to show you, and these are all Boulevard Realty's listings, where, of course, that these like we ended up changing the tile, and you can always go like 3x6 subway tile, can't go wrong with that, timeless. And you know, they're simple changes that really create a big difference. So
Do you really think this subway tile
whether you like it or not.
Right, you know, because I mean, yeah.
They've used them in Europe for what, 100 years at this point or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, and white is just.
And the thing is that we have like, not all of us are gonna want subway tiles in our house,
Right,
but you're thinking like, if it's a house that you're gonna sell, it's what's gonna be
Exactly.
appealing to more people, and that's kind of like what the mindset has to be, you know, like, I mean, some people have like beautiful living rooms, really dark colors and blues and grays and greens, which can look great, but it's about what's appealing to the masses and like, yeah, what attracts more people. Because what happens when you have, you know, like a really dark house with a very specific, you know, like historic style, it's not that it's not beautiful, you know, like even the photos that we were looking at of Bill's house before, like it was a beautiful Victorian home, but it's about how like people can visualize themselves in the house, and like especially new buyers, like you want to think that you're attracting more people than just like one particular buyer. Yes. Sir.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you remodel your house. It looks beautiful. 5 years from now, not so beautiful. Because it's not like it needs to be remodeled, it just needs to be updated. You know, so,
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, like, because even like if we think we're not like we don't dress ourselves the same way throughout our whole life, and thank God for that. You know, because if you think about how we dressed like a few years ago, it's the natural thing, and like how things evolve. But there are certain elements, you know, like where when you have more, it's even if you think about like in a way in fashion, like what used to be sold, you know, like as basic pieces, they're not sold as basic pieces anymore. They're sold as essentials, you know, like a white tee, like a black tee, like those are essentials. And it's the same way, like subway tile, white paint, those are essentials. So it doesn't mean that you can't change them or that you shouldn't change it and make your house more personal. But if it's going to be a listing in a house that someone's going to buy or that someone's going to sell, the fact is that that's what's going to be appealing to more people, you know, like so this was one of Cynthia's listings, and like some people will look at this kitchen and think it's awesome and great. The fact is, it's not going to be as appealing to as many people as this same kitchen, which is now, painted, and it's not white walls, it's actually gray walls, but still, you see, like, it's about the neutral color palette. So over here, we changed checker tile to a white subway tile, change the countertops to marble, cabinets white, and walls gray, and also the trim also white. And so about marble countertops, so today we're just essentially going to talk about paint, like in the next meeting. We can talk about countertops and materials because that's always like a question that comes up, is like the marble, and like some people don't like marble because it's more fragile, but it will be in, because like subway tile, it's a timeless material that people have been using for years, so.
I think I've had that listed about 6 months, and then within a week of posting that new picture, I'm under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there you go.
It's such a difference.
Wow, yeah.
Just that
Yes, I
big.
do. Like when I talked to you, I had a listing for it was a rental, right? And my rental is ugly. And I was showing it for like 12 weeks. Just by talking to you. And then I went to show it. And then I just talked about what I was gonna do to it, and I rented it. I'm gonna do this and that, and I showed her the colors. I just,
And it's the same thing, and so like, taking up on this example, which is Suzanne Hiller's listing for Milford, sometimes it's just like showing people what can be done, because so for instance, over here, if you notice, this is how the kitchen is, and we just edited white countertops, and it already allows people to imagine how it can look like, and it makes a huge difference, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Maria, what's the budget for doing a project like that?
I think this one was about, let me just check with Frank.
Yes.
But I think,
So
because I don't
what
want
was
to
the
give the
budget
wrong
for that?
For
number.
that,
What was the budget for that remodel? Because that's gonna be a question from a lot of homeowners is,
It was like.
how much am I gonna spend to do
it was like
this?
10,000 or something. I want to give you the
It
actual.
wasn't
like,
much, and
Well-
if she'd done that to start with, she probably could have
Exactly.
sold it for 50 or 75 million.
Exactly.
Those are all the whole cabinets that she painted? All there is paint
Okay.
and countertops, that's all. there
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
wow.
Oh, and appliances.
So the floor is the same color, it's still kind of that orangey wood?
It's the green do anything with the floors, put in new appliances, which I think were 6,000 or 6,500. Countertops were 5 or 6 or 7, and paint was 2,006.
did you get that many, were you able to raise the price back up to cover it, or?
Um,
reduced it quite
At that point, I didn't even try. I mean, this thing is, in addition to all this, it had a big, humongous empty lot behind it that could end up with 12 3 or 4 story townhomes, and it was on that curve on Morrison. So
Yeah.
you come drive north on Morrison, if you weren't paying attention, you drive right into the house on that curve.
Yeah.
And it had a mid-rise across the street from it, and it had that nursing home that they were closing, didn't know what it was gonna be yet. And next door was a beautiful lot, but I don't know if the guy died, but it was totally overgrown. And that lot since sold. I mean, it had a lot of challenges.
So Mark,
Objections.
But for the price, I mean, to get a 4-bedroom zone and travel, it's gonna cost you about $100,000 more.
Mark, to answer your question, we don't remember the exact price, but it was like somewhere between 10 to 15,000. This is why we like to bring, the workers and get
Probably
estimates
15.
initially.
Including appliances.
Because we didn't change it.
I don't think it's for 6 or 60.
Okay.
So are you recommending still stainless or going with colors on lights?
So again, here's the thing. So for one of our projects for Litex, so that we're recently doing, like we ended up doing the orange SMEC fridge, like the retro SMEC fridges for the laundromat. It looks super cute. We wouldn't recommend this on a house that's going to be sold for the same reasons that not everyone's gonna love an orange fridge. It looks great in that specific project, but I feel like stainless is what's gonna consume more. Is another before and after, just to show you. So in this house, this was just literally paint job, painted white, and then we added doors to the cabinets. And as you can see, like really small change, it makes so much difference.
48.
Makes it bigger.
Yeah, it's just how white walls, how they capture light. So like just rooms just instantly feel bigger and lighter, and it is all about the natural light, and this just really helps lighten up the room.
So I'm doing a statement. So like if you scroll down to that, okay, so no, the pictures.
Sorry.
So where the white is, if you were remodeling, you know, all things being equal, the labor on to paint it is going to be the same. The real difference is the cost of the paint. So if you're flipping a house or remodeling it, you don't have to buy the greatest paint because you're just painting it white to sell it. Then it becomes the new buyer's problem. But if you were doing this to live in it yourself, I would definitely up the paint 2 levels. Instead of buying $25 a gallon paint, you should buy $60 a gallon paint because it's much easier to clean a $60 a gallon paint that's on the wall. The cheaper paints, you just have to repaint the entire wall again. So you can spot clean it and do a lot of different things with it because it amortizes over like a 7 to 10 year period. The paint will last that long and it's very cleanable. So you can spray like Windex on it and wipe stains off. Where the cheaper paints, you can't do that. You'll have to repaint the entire wall again.
So that's, and looking from that, that's what kind of makes a difference between like what I would recommend to you if it's for a buyer or a seller, you know, because if it's for a seller, we're going to say just paint it white and small changes like adding doors to the cabinets. If this was someone who just bought the house and so this is what they get and they're still not fully satisfied to it, there's a lot more. Like we can add a tile backsplash, add shelving cabinets on this side and make it look even better. So it depends a little bit on the stage in the process of where the house is. If it's being sold, if it's just being bought, if you're gonna rent it out. And so going back to our color palette, and if it's not white walls, like what colors should they be? So essentially light grays. Again, light grays don't work on every house because like if you have floors which are like stained to orangey, it's not gonna look good at all. We wouldn't recommend that. But here's a list of all like the soft hue colors that we recommend. And all of these, you know, like we've used them endless times before, like they look great. There are some color swatches.
Like the travertine floor.
Yeah. So you see like with the travertine floor, like something more like the aesthetic white or the agreeable gray because you don't want something, you're gonna want something that's gonna lighten up the house and not, but not creating like an ugly contrast with what's already there basically. So like all of these colors work. Also, these are great colors for trims. So if you do have white walls, you know, you want to add like a gray trim, or if you have, let's say, a light French gray wall, and you want just like a subtle difference, a subtle contrast with the trim, then first start like these two work together. So a little bit about like.
Yeah, Maria helped us with paint selection when we repainted our house last year. And one of the things that really surprised, I think, Becky and myself, certainly me, is it does not look monochromatic throughout the floor because every time you have a shadow or there's a difference in the light or the window, the shade is open or closed, it changes the appearance of the paint. And so it seems to be almost an endless palette of shades within that same family based upon the time of day or the amount of light coming in. So if you have a homeowner who's like, it's going to be really blah. No, it won't. It's going to look great. And you'll see a lot of variety that you're not expecting.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, unlike people are scared that if you go with a light hue, you know, and a white, that it's all going to look very boring and that you're not going to notice the details. And it's actually the other way around. If you go for a monochromatic look, the features, like architectural features in detail, you know, like the trim work, the cabinets, style, everything is gonna pop out even more because you're just seeing one color, but the shadows and the details that come through it.
So that agreeable gray looks more tan than
Yeah,
gray.
it will, but it's not a beige at all. So, and.
It was the
colors
downstairs
nuances
at our Heights office. It was the downstairs
Oh, yeah.
at our Heights office.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was,
And for instance, the aesthetic white, I don't know if you remember Devin, the listing from DJ.
Oh, yeah.
That was like one of the
Oh, yeah.
like
And
most
after notes.
beautiful homes
Yeah.
that we saw last year. And so for instance, Devin, like aesthetic white is the color all throughout. And again, like if you remember it, it has some warmth to it, but it's still like, and in that case, it was a modern home, but it has some warmth to it, but it's still a white.
so what do you recommend for these Heights houses that are old, not the new construction?
I mean, any of these colors really. So it just depends on, it's gonna depend a lot on countertops and floors. If the person's not gonna change, like if you're gonna change it, you can really do anything within these colors, these ones or the white. Mentioned before. Happens is, like I said, if you have if you are or cabinets to paint, then you're not like a gray or a white with a blue undertone to it, like, because it's just different.
Right.
Jumping to accent. Okay, more blue it is because like we were talking about before, like trim and white and trim and wool, like showy whites, like grays, like hues. But what you can do, because it's much easier to paint, like if you're gonna change in the future, if you're gonna change something, it's easier, to like paint one powder room cabinet and like paint the whole wall and everything. So what we're doing right now is cabinets and like little features in the home, like a built-in like color there instead. If you want to add like some detail to the house previously to selling it. But again, this is something that a lot of times like we recommend, on our own projects, and a lot of times we end up doing like colored islands and details like that. But if it's a new construction or something that's going to be sold, stick to the more neutral colors. But here are some ideas, because blue is like probably the color that this year like trending for all these accents. Like some examples from our Brother Bill's home, how it was before and how it looks now with blue. But again, like you still have the white ceiling, you still have to do some white in there. It can't be like all fully blue. It was one of Brandon's projects. And again, like this is like an all white house outside and inside, fully white kitchen. Other, we just added some detail in there. So we painted cabinet maple. And this does look lighter here, so it's a dark. Pass it around. And again, if you notice, like with blue, brass hardware and brass detailed faucets go really well. We're not going to talk about those finishes today, so that's also for the next meeting. I just wanted to show how it doesn't necessarily have to be all white, but like the essential and main walls. This was one of Icon Homes project, so this was their kitchen. This is more risky, not everyone's gonna love this, but who likes it is gonna love it for sure. And this home sold pretty fast too. It was all white walls, white cabinets, but then we went with a darker backsplash and more detail and the blue island.
Is that the same blue from earlier?
No, so this is Santorini blue, so this is Sherwin Williams, this is this color. So this is, and I'm sorry because like these photographs don't show it as well as it is, so like this powder is really more navy, and then this island is more of a teal color. It's like a light teal color. Okay. And then, so aside from our blog, also on Instagram, we try to post a lot of our inspiration. So if you want to follow on Instagram too, like we'll post a lot of our own projects and some inspiration as well. So it's the LVD Realty.
So do the white walls work if you keep the brown, the unpainted trim? Or does that just look 70s?
Like honestly, like what really makes it work or not is going to depend a lot on the furniture that you bring in. Because if you have furniture that will pick up on the hue of the wooden trim, then it works. But if you're gonna want to put, it's gonna depend on the furniture essentially.
Were those whites you were talking about when you were saying to paint things white, those white colors, you were talking about those for the walls, it wasn't just ceilings, right? You were talking
Yeah,
about.
for the walls,
For everything.
full white house, yeah.
Like
You want me
pure
to go
white
back?
with contrast or not. Okay.
So, and if you
I
want.
read it. Okay.
Any other question?
Yeah, that's fine.
I had a listing on Nottingham, and it was a 1989 house, but it really was a great floor plan. But the kitchen had not been touched. So Maria came over and took pictures of the bathrooms, all of them, and the kitchen. And I don't think there was anything else in there. But she had it mounted on, dry mounted. And so when buyers came in, buyers are always saying, oh, well, this is 250,000. And we had numbers that it wasn't 250,000.
Right.
But buyers, normal people, buyers and agents were saying, what a clever idea. Who did this for you? I can't believe this. It's like, I don't want that secret out because I don't want them to get you and replicate you in another. But anyway, everybody thought that was very clever. And now I've got this listing on Milford, and it's a 1950s house. And she came over. I mean, and when I call Maria, she's like, I'm the only thing on her calendar. I mean, she just comes over immediately.
Look at this
takes
question from
pictures.
Renita.
And then there was a pass around.
From Renita, it's a question.
And then I said, well, show me also what it looks like with white counters and white cabinets. So she had added that, and I had them dry mounted. And people go, well, yeah, that's so much better. Instead of, this is an estate, a home. She was deceased. And so I recommend her highly, because she makes me look good, and she can make you look good. Anything else? How much? $50?
Right.
No, I mean, you are amazing.
Thank
You are.
And also,
Oh, and you did my garage apartment. You told me to go why. And she let me keep the pine and all.
And so, for instance, in that garage apartment, we had like terracotta colored floor. So that's why I recommended the Dover white because again, like you want a white with some more warmth.
And she said we're channeling Italy. No, but it's true. I mean, it really looks fabulous. So there were floors of that, terracotta in the kitchen and in the bath. And then we did subway tile, white, total, and then quartz white on the counter.
And I think we went with the irregular subway tile because again, like next meeting I will talk about that. There's so much. We'll get into that in the next meeting. But so just on Nottingham, so like I said, Ms. Hilliard was.
Yes. Mr. Baldwin calls me Mrs.
So
Hilliard.
for that particular listing, we didn't actually go there and pay and everything, but just sometimes just having the numbers really helps sell a home because like having the numbers and the mood boards and just like giving someone, like a more realistic idea of what it's gonna take really helps because if not, like someone walks into like a super ugly house and they get scared, and they're gonna think it's too much work, and sometimes those end up being like the most pretty, unique homes.
Oh, yeah.
So just gotta give it a little bit of love. And we have a question from Renita about painting dark brown cabinets. So, for instance, at Mark Scout, I remember that you had that question whether you should paint the cabinets or not, and you ended up not painting them. So the thing is, like, if you have beautiful stained wood, you don't necessarily have to paint it. The thing is, if you find modern or historic
You
But
also,
it's-
I know we're not talking about this, but she also in the little thing that was drawing mounted, she had ID industrial fluorescent lighting with the big, huge frosted panels, you know what I'm talking about? Ugh. And then what she did is she had pendant lighting suggestions that would be over the island. I mean, it was just, you just knocked it out of the park. And you helped sell it.
And if you have, again, like any questions about where to purchase these lightings, like if you just, because sometimes it's something as simple as just like an outdated old chandelier that will really lighten up the room and make it feel new and fresh. So any questions of that sort, I
We need to give us like ballpark, things like if somebody wants to replace carpet with curtains.
So the thing is, and usually, and I do say this because like I don't give you, like we bring in the guys that are gonna give you these numbers because also the thing is whether it's changing tile, a light fixture, carpet, like there's such a wide range of price points. Of course that there's a minimum, but even with that minimum, like it really depends a lot on the output that you want and how, you know, like how much you're wanting to spend. Because like, again, like probably if you're wanting to sell a house, you want to spend the least as possible. But if you're buying it, maybe you don't mind investing it a little bit more to have something that's better and that will last longer. So prices, it's gonna depend a lot on project, and that's why like whenever you have a question with a listing, like I come in there myself and looking at the project and we'll bring our guys to give you a price because it's hard to like put it like that.
What if someone has really ugly granites, like they're not gonna change it, but you can go in there and paint. But the granites, like salmon.
Okay.
So I suggested painting anyway, because you can also say, well, this granite can be changed out for, you know, $7,000. So you suggest go ahead and doing that? Because the cabinets kind of match the salmon.
Okay.
But they're so ugly. So I just thought, what if they paint it?
I think that you should do it because again, like if someone comes in, like it's probably easier for them to imagine it's like, okay, I can picture this with a different countertop, whereas if they come and it's just all like same something, it's probably harder for them to imagine how it's going to look.
What are quartz countertops selling for? 35, 40 bucks?
It depends, like you have certain quartz,
I have
which
a
again,
source.
like the marble looking quartz are way more expensive than marble, but they're beautiful and they're the marble look, which are gonna last you a lifetime. So again, like we don't, like honestly, I can help you with anything, but I will not like give out the prices and everything because that's, we're gonna have to get, like Ricky, our tile guy person, again, you've worked with him before, he'll quote you on that.
I'm having painted today this. Okay, so I have a new listing. We painted the whole thing white. And I said, if you want to get that kind of money, we have to paint out those tiles. That's an option.
Painting the tiles.
Paint the tiles.
And also
And this
plastering
is-
over it, and that's, so like,
Yeah.
what we're gonna try to do, like, so we're gonna try to do some design meetings, like at least once a month. And we'll go and, you know, like different, whether it's a tile person or countertop person, which will have a better notion of prices and different prices off their head. We will also get someone in who does like plaster, because the thing is like, so much has evolved in technology and new materials that there's these limestone stained plasters that will just like paint it. That's a really good option because it's much cheaper than, you know, like ripping out all the tiles. And it, again, it gives it like a more modern new feel.
You plaster over the
Yeah.
tile?
Yeah.
Well, it's new.
Does it
It's
last
good.
well?
It does. And so these are actually by, you might know it, so it's the Chateau de Mont finishes. And, you know, like a lot of our, so like for instance, for Bill's house, we use this plaster for the wine cellar on the walls. And then we ended up doing it on the countertop for the wine cellar built-in as well. So, but again, like we'll have them talk about, that's gonna be a whole
What was that, Chateau de what?
domain.
Oh, yeah,
You wanted the
okay.
American way, sorry.
So if you're not familiar with that, what was that house that Bill had? The one that
So
sold for
you want
2.4 million?
4702 Devon.
Yeah, the one on Devon?
Shower.
Yeah, all of that was Chateau de Mont
Yeah,
products.
like in plaster, like the shower, and this is, yeah, it's a, they'll talk about that, it's a beautiful product.
I flipped a house once and just painted the tile, because it was just tile like that, and they have tile paint. Now, I'm sure that classroom's prettier, but I just painted it white, and it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
But the special paint, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there something she could do with the salmon colored counter that's granite? I mean, is
I know,
there any kind of finish you could do over that without replacing it?
It's a hard one.
That one I don't know, you know, I didn't, never heard anything.
Yeah. And again, it also depends a lot on the price point of the house, you know, because depending on the price point, you can just paint the tile, or you're gonna want some sort of like beautiful plaster over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Maria.